connecting our lives to help us survive. So we live our time to the fullest we can.
Hi, welcome to Dementia Action Alliance podcast. My name is Laurie Scherrer, and today I have the joy of interviewing John Richard Pagan, who we know as JR, regarding using your inner and higher power. And boy, in dementia, having an inner and a higher power is sometimes helpful to so many of us. So JR, welcome, and thank you for agreeing to come on and interview with us.
Thank you for having me, Laurie. I love talking to DAA.
So it's so great to have you. And JR, I'm going to start by telling a little bit about you. And I mean a little bit because you have a lot to tell about you, but we have to condense it. So JR Pagan has been a people person most of his life, having worked in computer networking and user support. He's been a coffee shop owner and then a clinical psychotherapist before himself being diagnosed with a neurodegenerative disease. In all that he's done, he's learned to trust in a higher power as he understands it, and to live a more genuine life of fulfillment in the present moment. He lives his true self as a non-residential monastic in community of the gospel. JR is highly active as a lay leader in his church and working on a second bachelor's degree in religious studies. He has learned the value of standing still, taking a breath, and observing his world in the moment before proceeding, and it works for him. He's also a big help to DAA. So JR, it's great to have you here today. And today we're talking about using your inner and higher power. And I know this is something you and I have shared before, but so I want to ask you some questions. Absolutely. What does it mean to trust your true self and your higher power? What does that mean?
Well, it's a great question. You know, a lot of people are going to think that we're immediately talking religion and we're talking some kind of faith-based thing. And that's not at all what we're talking about. We're talking about, recognizing that there's some force beyond us that is in control of things, and we can let go of the worries, we can let go of the stress, we can listen to that inner voice in our heart and in our mind that tells us that it's going to be okay, that everything is going to work out all right. How often have we heard a voice that said slow down? How often we've heard a voice that said maybe you shouldn't go there today. You need to listen to that voice. That voice is probably giving us some good advice. And in this world with a dementia diagnosis, it's more important than ever to listen to that voice and let it guide us forward. For me, my higher power is I call God. But I've talked to other people that I've discussed finding a higher power, and their higher power is a beach. Their higher power is a hillside. Their higher power is a tree with great strength that stretches out to the sky. So it really is up to the individual.
I remember when you were away, and you were away because you were going to learn, and you became a monk. Wow, did you really have to become a monk to find yourself and your higher power? We missed you while you were gone.
Well, actually, working on becoming a monk, I'm actually a novice right now, which is what the NOV stands for. That so many people ask me about in our discussions. They say, what's that NOV? So the NOV is for novitiate. I'm on the last stage before becoming a monk. And no, you don't have to become a monk to find your higher power. It just, for me, there was a great deal of calmness, stillness in the idea of a monastic life, being part of a monastery or a monastic group. Our particular group is dispersed, and we're regular people out in the world, husbands, wives, workers, but we all acknowledge that there's a higher power out there that's guiding our path forward, and I enjoy that journey. So that was just the way I chose to take it.
Is this some form of religious practice or self-help scheme in using your inner power?
No, the although self-help programs speak about about using your inner voice, and some of them are right on. I definitely would say that, when I've listened to some of the well-proclaimed people out there who've spoken in the past, from the Thich Nhat Hanh, who just passed away, to Wayne Dyer, who was a great self-help guru at one time. Sure, they speak about stuff that's very similar, but it really is about listening. I strongly believe that there is a part of our higher power that speaks deeply within inside of us. Again, that higher power can be anything, and it speaks to us in our hearts. And when we're down and out, when we're depressed, when we're frustrated, that's the time we need to be able to reach in and pull that higher power out and say, help me. Tell me which direction I need to go.
JR, I truly believe in my higher power, in God. And for me, I have found that when my dementia is really challenging, being able to reach out to God and being able to look at the Bible verses and pray really helps me. How does your finding your inner and higher power and your true self, how does it help you with your dementia, and how can it help other people living with dementia to have a better life?
That's a great question. I'm going to say right now that finding a higher power for me, and I had to take the harder route to finding a higher power, because I started out with a 12-step program, and my own ego getting in the way and thinking that I could take control of everything. And that doesn't work in a dementia diagnosis. Saying that I'm in charge, you're not. Your world's changed. It's tipped upside down. But my program taught me that there's something beyond me that's in control, and I don't have to be. And so when I got a diagnosis, I was able to say, I'm not in control, but I don't have to be. I don't have to be in control of this. I can trust that something better is happening. I don't have to worry about tomorrow or yesterday. I can stay right here, right now, and just be with the person I am and be with the higher power I have. It made all the difference. You call it God, and that's wonderful. So do I. To be able to say, hey, I'm lost, but I need help, and you're it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jared, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing with us today. As always, it's such a privilege. It's just so much fun being able to talk to you, and you just have so much wisdom and guidance. So we appreciate that. So let me first say thank you to you. And then to our viewers, if you like this podcast, please on our YouTube, like and subscribe to our YouTube, and you'll be able to view a whole bunch of other podcasts on there. So JR, thank you. And this is Laurie Scherrer, and thank you for joining Dementia Action Alliance.